everyone. Welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those who are joining us from all around the world. We are so excited to dive back in to working on our free Code Camp technical documentation page. So if you were here yesterday, then you know that we had started working on our technical documentation page and specifically talking about databases, right? So, small introduction. My name is Nyah Macklin. I am the Developer Evangelist for Couchbase, and I'm here working with the incredible Bad Website Club team with Ramon and Jess. And we are here building out a lot of the free Code Camp curriculum and doing the projects together. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here with y'all, right? Like, this is the work, and this is what we're excited to do. So, um, uh, as again, a reminder, we've been working on databases so far and trying to understand what is a database, what's the difference between a database and data. We've been thinking about what are the history of databases as well as what are the different types of databases and breaking that all down into some docs so that people, all of our colleagues, all of our friends can also understand it, right? So you can go to your auntie, uncle, nephew, little cousin and explain out to them what are databases if they've never heard of them before. So, welcome y'all. Welcome to the couch. Hey learner, welcome friend. Welcome back. Thanks so much for being here. And hey Ramon, always so much love. And then our good friend 7 pounds, come here, period poo. Love it. And we have Ahmad here. Yes, so much love, so much love. I'm so grateful for y'all being here. This is going to be great, right? We had so much fun yesterday, really diving into it and doing that collaborative learning process. So let's do it again, y'all. Let's do it again. Like, let's knock this out the park. Let's do it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, wow. And Learner had mentioned that they're doing a few workshops for underprivileged kids soon. That is incredible, incredible work. Yes, we have to make sure that all of our folk have access to number one, coding, software development, and always it's the mentality that as we come up, right, as we develop, as we grow in our careers, we're always making sure that everyone around us is doing the same, right? That's just how we rock at Couchbase. That's just how I rock as an engineer, right? So let's make sure that we are constantly moving with this mission and conviction. So keep going, learner. We love you, and we're so happy. Yes. Hey, friend. We see our friend from LinkedIn here as well. Welcome to the couch. Thank you so much, and always lots of love as well. So. Talk about it. Always. Thank you, learner, thank you, 7 pounds, for reminding us. Don't forget about older adults. Little side note, I think that it's so important that folk we see so many different programs that are specifically age limited. They say you have to be maximum of 30, you have to be a young adult, but we're forgetting that so many older adults, right? People who are over 30, and that's not even old, but people in their 50s, in their 60s, right, in their 70s are also trying to get into this field. And so why aren't we invested in making sure that they too can get into this field, right? It's important to bring us all together, not just those who are, young and have the time and capacity to do things, but everyone, right? And so that's vitally important. That's why when I do these streams with y'all, I'm coming from the mentality of someone who possibly has never even touched a computer before, right? The folk who are brand new to not just tech, right? Not just coding, but also navigating computers and navigating software. I want to make this stuff easy for them. Okay. So let's keep going, everyone. Let's always be mindful. Thank you so much, Gabriel, for coming. I love the couch. That's right. We on it, and we getting into it today. All right, y'all. So let's dive in real quick. Let's dive in, and we are going to pick up where we left off. So if you were here yesterday, you know that we are building out our database documentation, okay? Our initial thoughts about database documentation here. And we have this broken down into small parts. So first, we're asking ourselves, what is data, right? first of all, what is data? And data from our collective summary we came up with yesterday, and this is how we're going to go about it this entire week. Like, all these sessions are always going to be collective learning. But data is a collection of individual facts or values that we can use to perceive, understand, and analyze about ourselves and the world. Thank you so much, learner, for contributing to that answer as well. That was a really big one. And so thinking about, the differences between what is data and what is a database. So a database is the organized collection of that data, right? Or structured information. I see we have a little quotation mark here, so we'll get rid of that. But that's just for now. We just want to go over this for folk who need a little refresher on what we had done yesterday. And then talking about the history of databases. So databases have evolved dramatically since about the late 1960s. And then we used to have purely relational databases, and now we have dozens of types of databases. And so what are those types, right? What are the types of databases that we have? And there are dozens, remember, but here are just a few of the top most, it's not most important, I would say the most commonly used databases that folk are normally engaging with. So we have type 1, which is relational databases, and that was also the first kind of databases that existed. So relational databases have more of a fixed structure, right? It's less malleable. It's a fixed structure for its data, and it's usually based on tables, columns, and rows, right? Usually based on tables, columns, and rows for a relational database. And then we have its cousin, all right, the family member, its cousin, non-relational databases. And sometimes people refer to this as NoSQL databases. And we'll also get into what SQL is, like why they choose those 3 letters, like what is that? We're going to get into that a little bit as well. But non-relational databases have a structure that can be changed in each entry and are based on collections and documents. So we're going to talk a little bit more and build out our ideas about what the difference is between relational and non-relational databases in a moment, but let's just keep going through these types. And then another type is hierarchical databases, which we said was developed in the late 1960s, early 1970s, and looks similar to a family tree or organization chart, right? So that's our hierarchical databases. And then the last kind of database that we're just going to talk about, or we have on our technical documentation sheet, is object-oriented databases, which store and manage objects and is represented in the form of objects, just like, if you have heard of this term, object-oriented programming. Beautiful. And we also have our colleague Ahmad, who has so gracefully reminded us that SQL, or SQL as some folks say it, stands for structured query language. Structured query language. So when you think of SQL, we understand that it is a language. It is a language just like we code in various different languages, but it's a structured query language. So it's a language that allows you to query, sift through, search through. That's another word for query, and it's built out in a structured way. Okay, so that's how we are breaking down that structured query language, just so that we are trying to remember, what does structured query language, or SQL, really mean down to its parts. And then, as we said, for just making sure that we're making those mental ties, the non-relational databases, or NoSQL, it doesn't mean there's no structure. It doesn't mean that. So what a NoSQL database is, it's what they call a not only SQL. So not only structured query language, it can do more than just be structured. It's more malleable, right? All right. So Learner also said NoSQL is a bit like not only SQL. That's exactly it. Not only SQL. That's the way that I remember it as well. So we're getting into a lot of, okay, here's the history of databases. Here's the various types of databases. So now let's continue to build out this form, right? To build out this documentation. So we'll put our instructions to the side just for now. And we want to make sure that we're building out our documentation here. We have our HTML file shown and our CSS is behind, and then our preview here. And let's build out the rest of um our docs here. Okay, so I want folk to go into your browser of choice and let's try to figure out as a collective what are the differences between relational databases and non-relational databases. Okay, so look up in your browser like, okay, what's the difference, and try to come up with an idea just based on what you learn, based on what you already know as well. I know there are a few people in here, either from the Couchbase team or who might know a little bit about the difference. But in your own words, how are you able to describe the differences between relational databases? And it's also okay if you want to just copy and paste what you see on the internet, and we can come together and come up with a collective definition of what that is. So the differences between relational and non-relational databases. How would we describe that, everyone? How would we describe that? So first, just oh yes, Ahmad has provided some information for the team. So relational means that there's a relationship to or between tables. Yes, yes, yes. That is an excellent, excellent point, Ahmad. Okay. So relational means there's a relationship between two different tables. So let's put that in here. Let's keep an eye on what that is. So we'll type out and we'll make this. We can just start off with a paragraph tag just for now, and amend as necessary. So remember, whatever we start, we have to finish. So whatever we open, we have to close. And so relational databases have a relationship between tables and rows. Yes, that's a great point. What else are we finding out about relational databases or the difference between relational and non-relational databases? And sometimes you could use a little bit of the wording to try and gather up some information. Um, but another thought here is that relational databases also. Oh, we have another thought from Ahmad. The relationship describes how these tables are related to each other. Exactly. So you can see that there's some conversation happening between tables. It seems to be very structured, right? There's a one-to-one relationship, which is what Ahmad said, one-to-one, one-to-many, or a many-to-many relationship between these tables, right? So it seems to be very structured, right? They seem to have some constraints of what the data, not necessarily what the data can be put in, but they have some system constraints as well. And so what I would put here, and this is just my thoughts, but we can continue to add on, relational databases, they also work with structured data, right? And have, let's see, they also work with structured data and are table and row oriented. I love that. All right. So relational databases have a relationship between the tables and rows, and they also work with structured data up. And then we said, and our table and row oriented. We just repeated that. So we will make sure, boop, 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 boop. There we go. A table and row oriented. That's right. Oh, I love all this learning coming in. Yes. The relationship is created using a primary key and a foreign key. So that's a little those are some interesting vocab words that we're using as well. Maybe talk a little bit more about like what the difference between a primary and a foreign key is. We don't necessarily have to get into it for this definition, but for your own learning, I think that would be really, really cool. All right. So we have here, and we have it showing up, that the relational databases have a relationship, period, right? They also work with structured data and are table and row oriented. It's very structured, right? Very specific. And then let's move a little bit on to what non-relational databases are. So we'll throw up another P tag. Boom. Perfect. All right, y'all. And so let's also think about what are non-relational databases. Databases. Perfect. So non-relational databases. Oh, thanks. Thanks, learner. Love it. So Learner had given us a little bit of information. So a primary key is a not null unique column, right? So not null meaning not empty, or no, or not null specifically, unique column in a table. And then also, when a primary key from one table is used in another table, it's called a foreign key. It's called a foreign key. So that's just some specific, very, very specific information to relational databases and how they work. You don't have to memorize this information in order to understand the differences. This is just some tidbits, some nuggets, if you will, if you were interested. So love that, love that. All right. And when we're talking about non-relational databases, what is the difference between a relational database and a non-relational database? Right? So relational databases have a very strict relationship, is table and row oriented. And how I personally would describe non-relational databases is that they have the ability to store large amounts of data, right? But with very little structure, with very little structure. And someone might say, now, why would I want that? Right? Like I'm very meticulous. I'd rather know exactly, tables and rows just seem so much, so much more intuitive to me. Why the heck would I want all my data to have the ability to be less structured? But there are use cases, everyone. There are massive use cases where you might want a little bit more flexibility with your data and how your data how the data talks to each other. It's not really talking, but how your data is tied to each other, or the relationship between your data. You want that to be a little bit more flexible so that you can do various things. So here we go. So for non-relational databases have the ability to store large amounts of data in a less structured way. There are lots of different little benefits to this. If you've heard of the term schema, it's okay if you've never heard of this term before. But if you've heard of the term schema is like I would say, like the bones to your data in a way. So it's like the structure of how your data should or could be structured when you put it into the database. But so it says here that it can be for non-relational databases, they can be schema free. So it doesn't have to necessarily have this specific structure for your data. It can be schema free, another term for that. Or so we'll say they can also be schema free, or that we would say that they're like schema flexible. Schema flexible. All right. So difference between relational databases and non-relational databases. Relational databases are tables and rows, very specific, very structured. And then non-relational databases, and another word for that is NoSQL, or not only SQL. Remember, not only SQL. Means that your data can exist in a less structured way. You can do lots of cool things with your data, and not have it only be in a key value pair. You're going to learn about this when you get to JavaScript, or tables and rows, very specific. And Ahmad also said that just for folk who are interested, the schema is like the blueprint for your data. That's exactly correct. It is like the blueprint for your data. And also, Learner had mentioned, and I'll make sure to dismiss that. Learner had mentioned that the schema is the skeleton of your database and how it is organized. These are perfect definitions. That is correct, y'all. Y'all are on it, always on fire. And that's what I love about this team. Yo, I love that we're working together. Okay. All right, y'all. So let's get into it. So we have this difference between relational databases and non-relational databases. Excellent. So we have a little bit of the starts of our technical documentation on databases. We have learned so much together, right? What is data? What's the difference between data and the databases that data goes into? And then a little bit of the history of databases, various types of databases, and making sure that we understand the difference between relational databases, or and we can also say SQL, which is which we were reminded. I forgot. Let me make sure who had said that, because I always love to make sure that we have um, uh, that you attribute, right, who you have learned something from. From Ahmad, he had mentioned that SQL stands for structured query language. All right. So structure, and I'll just keep this up for everyone so you can write it down if you need to. Structured query language. Love it. So relational databases often based on SQL, which stands for structured query language, and then non-relational databases, which are often called NoSQL, no, and then let's see, no, and then SQL, no dash SQL, NoSQL, which also stands for not only SQL databases or structured query language databases. Alrighty. We're doing it, y'all. We're doing it and doing it and doing it well. I love it. I love it. I love it. Perfect. Well, let's get back then to our instructions and see where we're at. All right. So far we have check on number 1. And you know what? Let's run the tests and see which ones we still have to do. Let's run some tests. Oh, yes, we have made it. Love it, love it, love it. So we've made it through the first 5. The first child of your section, main dash section, should be a header. Love it. And then we've got a little bit of a ways to go. So let's finish it up. All right. So let's see if we've done number 4. Each section element with the class main section should also have an ID. All right, so let's go into our thing. Great. So each section with the class of main section. Yep, main section. Let me close out this preview as well so we can just see all of the text. So make sure this is properly formatted. Yes, it is. Lovely. Each section with the class of main section should also have an ID that corresponds to the text of each header contained within it. So any spaces should be replaced with underscores, e.g. the section that contains the header JavaScript and Java should have the corresponding ID, JavaScript and Java. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so everyone, so does that mean they said each section with the class of main section should also have that course, each section with the class of main section should also have an ID that corresponds to the text of each header. Alrighty, so now we have our sections here. We have a class on these. So y'all, are we going to throw the class on the section, or are we going to throw the class on the header? What do y'all think? Should we throw the class on section, or should we throw the class on header? Because it does say that is talking specifically about the section. So yeah, I think that we should add the class on the section. We should add the ID on the section. So let's go over here. We have a class called main section, and then we're going to throw an ID. Let's do the ID right beforehand. An ID equals, and then it says that the ID should have the text of each header. So the text here is in our H2. What is data? So let's write out that for our ID. What? And then they said spaces need to be replaced by underscores. What is underscore data? Love it, love it, love it. So let's change that for every single one. We're going to have an ID here equals, boom. And then we're going to put what, underscore, gotta remember those underscores. What is a underscore database? Perfect. Let's add another one. ID equals, no spaces, ID equals history of data bases. Yep. And then ID, second to last one, equals types of databases. And guess what, y'all? I'm going too fast. I'm forgetting my underscores. Beautiful. Love it, love it. Hey, and I love that everyone's in here is seeing their friends here. Love it. That is perfect. Oh, thank you. Yep, Ahmad was on me. Except I forgot the underscores. That's right. So I think I got all the underscores here. Let me give this some space. There's some space there. Types of databases. And then for this last one, oh, this is a long one. So let's try to make this shorter. ID equals we'll do difference between relational and non-relational. All right, difference between relational and non-relational. That's a long ID name, but that's okay. All righty. So any spaces should be turned to underscores. Perfect. So let's see if we get any more checks. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's run it. Run the test. All right, beautiful. All of our main sections should have an ID. Excellent. All right, let's keep moving. So that was number 4. And then number 5. The main section element should contain at least 10 paragraph elements in total, not each. Okay, so in total. All right, so how many do we have currently? Let's see. So for our sections, each section with the class main section should have 10 total. Well, not each, 10 total in this page. So we have 1 here, 2, let's see, 3, and then 4, 5. All right, so we have 5 so far. We need to add a little bit more. So let's see what else we can do. We can separate these out also. So we have the what is data, looks good, perfect, database, yep, looks good, database. Oh, we can change this. So for every sentence we can, well, this is, I don't know if every sentence, but we would normally just add more information as we find it. But just for quickness sake, we're just going to make every sentence its own little paragraph tag to make sure that we are achieving what they're looking for us to achieve. Because we need 10 paragraph tags in total. And this needs to be a closing. Perfect. And then we have, this is great because it's semantic. So we're going to keep it the way it is. And then here, relational databases have a relationship. Separate this out. Another P tag. Great. Non-relational. Yep. In a less structured way. Ending. And then here's another one. Closing. Great. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Learner said you can nest the P tags within the description ones as well. And that's a great point. That's an excellent point. If we still don't have enough. Yeah. We were just trying to get some check marks. Let's run this and see how many we need. And what number was that? They said they wanted 10 total. Number 5. Main section should have at least 10 P elements. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we have 8. We're almost done. All right, so we said in these description tags, we can throw some P tags in there as well. Non-relational databases have a structure that can't be changed on the entry and are based on collections and documents. We're just going to put a period here, and we're going to add another P tag in here. P, and then we're going to say NoSQL because we're getting into the practice of using the language of tech and databases. NoSQL databases are also based on collections and documents. I'm going to move this up. And P tag. Actually, we said that we can try to nest it, so it can also work. Okay, so that's 8. And then let's try to look for, well, that's 9. Now let's get the last one. And then hierarchical databases also look similar. Perfect. And we're going to throw a P tag in here and then a closing P tag. All right. That should be 10. That should be 10. All right, so we're looking for the thing that says we have at least 10. Yep, have at least 10 total within the P. Let's run the tests. Yeah, perfect. Check mark. Let's do this. Let's go, as Leon says. Let's go. If any of you have heard Leon. Perfect. All right, so we have at least 10. And then 6, the main section element should contain at least 5 code elements total. Okay, so not each. All right, so now we're getting into a little bit of this as well. So if you haven't seen, and this might scare folk, but don't let it scare you. Don't let it scare you. We're going to add 5 code elements in here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some code from Couchbase's documentation. So let me go over. I'm going to let me do it here actually while I'm sharing my screen. Beautiful. All right. So I'm going to go to docs.couchbase.com. And remember, Couchbase is a non-relational, a NoSQL database company. Yes. So for NoSQL, which stands for not only SQL, there's lots of ways that you can showcase that code. And so just reading this really quickly, Couchbase is a modern database for enterprise applications as well as the local developer. Couchbase is a distributed document database with the power of a full search engine and inbuilt operational and analytical capabilities. It brings the power of NoSQL, not only SQL, to the edge and provides fast and efficient bi-directional synchronization of data between the edge and the cloud. And then find more information and samples, etc. So that's a lot of words, but Couchbase does some incredible things that allows you to be flexible with your data. And so this is an example. We're going to grab some of this code right here, and then we're going to throw it in the NoSQL section. All right, so NoSQL section. Lovely, lovely. All right, so we're in non-relational databases. So we're going to do this in the NoSQL section. This is going to be the code wrap. So code, and then we're going to do code /code. And then, and learner also said, if you have multi-line code, wrap your code tags within the pre-tag to preserve indentation. Yes, you are the best learner. Perfect. So we do have a multi-line. Code. So it said wrap your code tags within the pre-tag. So let's put the pre-tag right around that. Perfect. And then -pre, and let's see this happen. And let's format our code. I just right-clicked here as well. I'm going to press format document. Let's see a little preview. All right. Move that all the way over. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Love it. So we have at least one code snippet now. Perfect. All right, so that's for NoSQL databases. And then what I'm going to do is actually create a new little comment just to tell the user what this is. This is a code sample from Couchbase, which provide. I'll say this is a NoSQL code sample. No. Code sample from Couchbase, which is a non-relational database company. Lovely. And so for all these other various types of databases, what we can do is just use the code tag to put some comments in, right? So we might not have code samples for everything, but we can put some comments in which will stand in for code samples in the future. So let's throw that in here for relational databases. We can do relational. We'll add another code sample. It's just going to be a one-line comment, so we won't need the pre-tags this time. And learner had mentioned also in SQL, I think we use -- for comments. Ooh, if you recall from work, that is an excellent point. We see here in the that probably is the case. I actually don't remember. So we'll keep the comments for now. We'll keep the slashes for now, just because we also see it in the Couchbase's documentation. But what I'll do is after the stream, I'll go back and make sure that I change it if it does need to be changed. Sweet. All right. So we're doing our code. Boom. Love it, love it. Our code sample, and we're just going to do some code here. And we're going to say code snippet for a relational database. And remember, relational just means SQL. So, well, they're not completely they're not completely interchangeable. SQL is a query language versus relational database is a kind of database, but relational databases oftentimes use SQL in order to query them. So we'll just put here code snippet for relational database, and then we'll go down. We have our non-relational already, and then we can do something similar for a hierarchical database, and then the same for. Ooh, and we got to wrap that. Did I wrap that? No, I didn't. How can y'all let me get away with that? Unacceptable. Lovely, lovely. Oh yeah, exactly. Yep. Ahmad reminded me. We can also use the slash star star slash ending slash for multi-line comments as well. Love it. And I have to wrap this. Both are oh. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, someone caught me. Thank you so much for the catch. Yes, this part right here. Thank you, learner. You're always coming through with the little points. Yes, that was an opening and an opening. So it monospaced everything, but we don't want that. Okay, so we got to make sure when we open, we got to close. When we open, we close. Perfect open and close. And then for this one, we're going to do code. And then we're going to close it this time. Lovely. Hierarchical, then object oriented. All right, is how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. We just need one more. And then we'll include one in this differences section. After there, code, lovely code. And guess what this needs, y'all? It needs to close in the right way, of course. For relational. Beautiful. All right, it's code snippet for hierarchical, code snippet for object oriented. And as you can see, like the kind of docs, the docs that we're talking about, databases in general, don't lead so exactly well to trying to find code snippets for it. However, when you're looking up and learning more about object-oriented databases versus hierarchical as well, you can fill out this information with those exact code snippets. All right. So we should have 5 now. Let's rerun that test. Should have at least 5 code snippets. Excellent. Let's keep it moving. All right. Should have at least 5. Perfect. Now where are we? Beautiful. Number 6. All right. So number 7. All right. The main section. Okay. The main section element should contain at least 5 LI items in total, not each. Okay. So they want 5 LI items. And what we did before yesterday, just a reminder, is that instead of using our LIs and a UL, we had used some more semantic examples here, which are these DDs, which is the description list element. And so that's a more semantic way, at least for what we were looking for, right? It was very specific to what we were looking for. We use those description list elements instead of just a unordered list or something like that. But what we can do here, we have some paragraph tags here in this section on the differences between relational and non-relational databases. And so what we can also do is add an unordered list with a whole bunch of like differences as well. So we have our H2. Let me close this preview so we can better see our code, because it's pretty hard to see right there. All right, we're within our section. We have our H2. Yep. That's right. We can add some examples of databases as well, right? Oh, yeah. So we did, and that's what we did for the section up above, the types of databases. We had them in, we had them with the DTs and DDs, right? And then when we looked here, we had DTs and DTs. So we have a whole bunch of lists of databases there, and we can just go ahead here and add a little bit more about the differences in an unordered list. Then we're going to have LIs wrapping uh, within that. LI, and then always remember what you start, you gotta stop. Great. Slash LI. Great. All right, let's add a couple. They want, how many do they want? They're looking for how many? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great. So Ahmad, he said that he meant MySQL, MS SQL, right? And then Oracle as well. Yeah. And thank you, learner. We want 5 total. That's right. So the different types of databases, like the different names of databases as well. I love that. So let's add that. Let's actually do that. I really like that idea, Ahmad. So let's go above. Boop. And we're gonna, instead of putting that there, we're gonna put that in the types of databases section. We're gonna do an unordered list with various list items. That's 4 and then 5. Yeah, different database. Exactly. Different database providers. That's right. All right, so let's go through. We have LIs, right? Should contain at least 5 LI, so list items. And we're in the main section. Perfect. We will achieve that. So, y'all, what are some of the databases that you've heard of, right? Or some of the database providers that you've heard of? Let's get into that as well. So we have a couple of different names here. So we have Oracle is one, very, very big company. Oracle is a database name, right? Then we also have MS SQL. And oh, y'all are on it. That's right. And of course, you already know how we do it. Just gonna have to throw us up at top, you know. Don't listen to me. Couchbase. You already know that one. Perfect. Okay, and then MySQL, SQLite, MongoDB, excellent. So we've got both companies as well as some languages, SQ, SQLite, and then Mongo. That's right. Boom. Oh yeah, and Postgres. Oh wow, y'all got them all. Let me just add a couple more, just cause. Perfect. Yep. Postgres. Yep, Cassandra. And Neo4j. CouchDB is one as well. All right, we've got a lot. We'll stop for now. All right, so we've have that all under our belt. Excellent work and coming together and seeing all these different examples of databases and database companies as well. So we have all that here. We can see, yay, exactly. Types of databases. Beautiful. All right, and let's keep moving. So you can see a nav element with a corresponding ID of nav bar. All right, so let's go right back to the top. We have our nav element and they want an ID of nav bar. Nav bar. Can do. Excellent. Great. Nav element with an ID of nav bar. Done. All right. So I'm going to move that out the way. So the nav bar element should contain one header. All right. So let's move this header, instead of being on the outside of the nav bar, let's move it to the inside of the nav bar here. All right. So we have our nav element, and then it wants it to be, it wants it to have a header. Ooh. Boom. And then we always want a closing. Header. Yeah. Oh, y'all are the best. Exactly. Try to put as many different kinds. That is perfect. That's what we're looking for. You are amazing, learner, as always. Love it. Okay. So we have our header. Perfect. And then we have navbar should contain at least one header element, which contains the text that describes the topic of this technical documentation. Yes. So this larger topic of our technical documentation, the navbar element should contain one header element, which contains the text that describes the topic of our technical documentation. So let me move this in there then. So we have our H1. I'm going to throw that into our nav. All right. Are they happy if I were to do that? Boop, boop, boop. How would hell? With one header element. All right, let me run these and we should get a lot more checks. Check, 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 check. Wow, look at all these checks we got, y'all. Look at all these checks. I love it. Yep, has exactly one in it. Happy. Perfect. And now let's just make sure here. Each main section should have an ID that matches the text of the first child. Okay, that matches the text. Having any spaces need to be changed with underscores. Okay, so remember that one where we changed the text down below of the NoSQL thing? Yeah, they weren't happy with that. And that's okay. So what I'm going to do is boop, and then let's go here. Boop, and then we'll just throw the things in there. Probably too long. So this is probably not the best thing that you want to do. Because it's probably definitely too long, but let's rerun it and see if it's now happy. Nope, it's not. All righty. Yeah, exactly. That's not, that is not a fair test at all, Ahmad. I think they wanted the header text as nav links. Oh, good point. Good point. We missed 2 spaces. Y'all are on me. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We missed 2 spaces. Thank you. Boop. There we go. And then, yes. Wow, we really missed a lot. Let me grab that. All right. Are they? Oh, I missed a lot of spaces. And also, let me just get that out of there because it is confusing things. Databases like SQL. And I'm gonna get rid of this. Like SQL, we said like underscore SQL. Oh, no. Whoa, what just happened? Oh, where did that go? What just happened? Oh, it just collapsed. Wait. What did this do? Oh, it just collapsed. It really did. Okay, I was like, where's my code? All right. Underscore like SQL. We're getting rid of that. We're getting rid of this. Like SQL underscore and non-relational databases. Okay, it should be happy. It's still not happy. That's okay. We're going to not waste time and we're going to continue on and we're going to come back to this. That's another thing that you have to learn to do in software engineering. All right, you don't want to spin your wheels. You want to say, all right, let me come back with a fresh brain in a moment. Let me get something else done to make sure we get as many checks as possible before we're done here, at least for today. All righty. So we're back in the nav. Great. We have the ID. Perfect. And then we were on number 9. It should contain at least one header element. We got to check for that. So we'll keep moving. And then additionally, the nav bar should contain a link. Yes. We'll move up to the top. The nav bar should contain some links. Yeah, I know. I never want to read another code base with that long an ID in production. Me neither. Okay. Me neither. And we only did that because they said they wanted it to exactly match the child element. And I'm like, I probably should have came up with shorter words for that entire section. But that's okay. That was scary. Don't worry. We got through it. Alrighty then. So the nav bar should contain link elements with the class nav link. Alrighty. Can do. So you want some link elements or some anchor tags with the class of navlink. There should be one for every element with the class in main section. Got it. So the nav, they're looking for anchor tags with the class. And I think this is because we're building out our nav section. So let's then start us off with an unordered list for the nav section. We'll throw up an unordered list and we're going to close it. And then this unordered list is going to have a number of LI elements, right? So at least enough for the number of bigger sections that we have. Oh, and it's starting to cook. Perfect. So that'll be at least I think it's at least 5. And let me format the document. Yes, now it is pretty for me. Thank you. All right. And then those LIs are also going to have anchor tags within them. So we're going to have an anchor tag and an anchor tag, closing anchor tag. And of course, these anchor tags aren't done because what we need href, etc., all in those as well. Href equals, and we're just going to leave it empty for right now. Copy and paste. Wonderful. Great. All right. So we have the 5. So that'll probably be what is data, what is a database, history of databases, types of databases, and then the differences. Love it. Great. All righty. So that seems to be checked. Additionally, the navbar should contain anchor tags with the class nav link. Oh, those anchor tags need to also have a class. Class equal nav dash link. Beautiful. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yep, exactly. Yep. I forgot the class names. That's right. You're on it. So we're doing the class names. Class equals nav link. And we're going to add that to every single anchor tag. Let's give it some space. Boop. And then boop. And then boop. Lovely. Close the console. Great. It's looking good. Looking good. And that should be for every element. All right. And then here we go again. The header element of the nav bar. So the header element of the nav bar, all right, must come before any link elements in the nav bar. Yep, that's good. We're done that. We just did that. And then 12, each element with the class nav link, okay, each element should contain text that corresponds to the header text within each section. Here we go again, y'all. If you were to have a hello world section / header, your nav bar should have the element which contains the text hello world. Makes sense. That's perfectly fine. So then our ULs or our LIs specifically are going to take in the text here for each of our sections. And what I'm going to do for that last one, y'all, I'm just going to shorten it. I'm just going to shorten it so we don't have to deal with all the mess that we've been dealing with so far. And that's okay. Great. So what is a database section? And then we're going to talk about the history of databases. I'll put that over there. And then we'll talk about the types of databases. Grab it from here. Types of databases. Lovely, lovely. And then for this last one, I'm just going to shorten it. And that'll be better because we won't have this long ID anyway as well. So we'll say, let's see, we'll say difference between, we'll just say, what's the difference? What is the difference? Great. And we'll change that to be, what is the difference? Oh, much, much, much better. And we'll also add that back up to the perfect right here. What is the difference? Love it. All right, so let's preview and see what's going on. Yes, we have our nav bar up top. We have our nav bar up top. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So that is the text. And what they're also asking us is here, when you click on the navbar element, the page should navigate to the corresponding section of the main doc. All right. So for example, they say if you click on nav link, each of the links, it should then take us. So right now it says, okay, this would bring you somewhere else because we didn't include what would be in this href, but it should take us down to the actual section. And so you might have seen this already with Ramon, but what we can do here is just grab this because these are also the corresponding IDs, right? These are the corresponding IDs of the sections as well. So we're going to do, yeah, exactly. Oh, Ahmad is on it. That's exactly what we're going to do. The href equals hashtag ID. All right. Hashtag ID. So we're going to do hashtag and then what that ID was. Oh, and then the IDs, remember, were underscores, underscore versions of this. All right. So when I click on what is data, let's get out of there. What is data? It takes us to what is data. All right. So it won't include the quotation marks. Let's see if we were to try quotation marks around that, what it would think. All right. So here's a little bit of difference. Oh, it actually boom, boom, boom. It still works. It's still happy. Yes. Okay. Yes. So you can either do quotation marks or just the straight ID there. Oop, let's keep that and then try. Yep. Perfect. Both of them work here. So we'll keep the quotation marks. What is data? Love it. Love it. Love it. So we're going to grab the IDs for all the rest of them really quickly. What is data? And then what is a database? Great. And now you can see, y'all, how you can just get things to navigate. You see, what is a database? We're going to click it. Boom. What is a database? So we can see how you can get these things to navigate directly to what you're looking for on the page. What's a database? And I'm just going to grab this history of databases. History of databases. Throw that hashtag or the boom. Yep. History of databases. Let's see what is wrong. Why aren't you happy? Why won't you go? All right, what is a database works, but history of databases does not. Maybe grab that and I'll go back down to whoop, grab that ID. Oh, I think it was because I was missing my hashtag. Doop. Yeah, excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, let's keep it moving. We're almost done. Then you need your hashtag and then your underscores. Great. It works. Oh, this is so great. And then what is the difference? Done. Done. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Now, come on now. Give me some more checks. You know, I love them checks. Whoo! We are almost done, y'all. We are almost done. Yes. Exactly. And just like Ahmad had mentioned, there would be a problem without the quotation if there was a space in the attribute value. So if I were to have a space here and you didn't have, so we'll take that out, do a space. And if you didn't have those quotation marks, that thing is like, what are you talking about? Right? If I go to types of databases, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So you need to make sure that you have your quotation marks wrapping around everything and that the ID is correct so that it goes where you need it to go. What is the difference? Perfect. All right, so let's keep moving. We have a couple last things that we can check off. All right, so each element in the class should contain text. Yep, we did that. When you click on the element, yep, that's done. On regular size devices, the element with ID navbar should be shown on the left side of the screen and should always be visible to the user. All right, so ID navbar. So on regular size devices. So now we're getting a little bit into media queries. And let's just finish this up before the top of our hour ends. Okay, so regular size devices, the element with ID navbar should be shown on the left side of your screen and should always be visible to the user. So let's get our CSS out. And we are going to always make sure that you link your CSS to your HTML. And so we have our head here and then our body. I'm going to make sure to throw that link so that we can make sure that anything that shows that we type in for CSS actually shows up. We'll change the color of everything to blue to make sure, yep, our CSS is correctly linked. Excellent, excellent. So we'll get rid of that. And then it says the element with the ID navbar, remember on regular size devices, should be shown on the left side of our screen. So if you've gone through our good friend Ramon's channel already, then you already saw that he had messed around with our with media queries. But how you would type out media query and what you can do if you're unsure, you can go to your browser of choice and say anatomy of a media query CSS, and that'll give you lots of good information, especially CSS tricks, which is such an excellent resource. Complete guide to CSS media queries. I'll throw these into the chat as well. Yeah, woo, learner is on it. Oh my goodness, this is perfect. Perfect. A perfect example of a media query as well. So you do at media and then make sure that you have your parentheses, whatever screen sizes you want, and then you start up your curly braces there. So for this one, we will do at media. That is always how you know to signify a media query. At media, and then we're going to do for the screen size that we would put into these um, uh, parentheses, we're going to do a minimum width, which is going to be let's say about 700 pixels. We'll break that up. All right. So the media query is that when you have a minimum width of about 700 pixels, we're going to say for all of the body in here, we're going to display flex. All right. And you've already learned about display flex if you have watched Ramon's technical documentation page, because he actually created an entire documentation on display flex. So using and tying together a lot of that knowledge. Remember, we're always building on our knowledge. We have display flex here. Okay, so this actually is not going to work yet, right? It's not going to work yet. Yes, the media query will exist. However, right, and let's just let me stop talking and let's see what's going on, right? So it's up here at the top. It's not doing anything yet because you're like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? Right? Boom. You see that? How awesome is that? Okay, so it says once we get to the minimum width, which is 700 pixels, it's now like the width is max is like 2000 or something pixels right now. It's big. It's big, it's big, it's big, it's big, it's big. All right, but once you get to the minimum, all right, now it's going to say, all right, everything looks fine, everything looks fine. Okay, the thing is going to flex. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And yeah, you can also use the new range syntax. Did a typo screen should be outside. Oh. So there's some using the new range syntax did a typo. Okay, the screen should be did a typo. Screen should be outside. Good point when you had put that up. So yes. Okay, great. I think this is what they were looking for. Let's see the instructions. And your technical documentation should have at least one media query. Let's run these tests. Let's see where we are. Okay, excellent. All right. So quickly, we have to say that the nav link should have text that corresponds. All right, so let's go to our nav link. Great. And I'll get rid of the CSS real quick. The nav link should have text that corresponds to the header text. Corresponds to the header text of its related section. Okay. So we have to the header text of its related section, right? So what is data? What is data? What is a database? Yep. Is it because I didn't include those question marks? Yeah, I know. I was like, learner. I was like, are they being picky about the question marks? I think they might be. Let's see. Let's add the question marks and see if they're really being picky about that. What's the difference? We have types of databases, and what's the difference? Was that it? I'd be mad. No, okay, so almost. Each nav link should have text that corresponds to the header text of its related section. All right, if you have hello world, your nav bar should have dev nav link hello world, which has the text hello world. Okay, what is the difference? That looks fine. I don't know why I would be picky. Okay. And then making sure the nav link should have an href attribute that links to the corresponding main section. They all work. If you click the nav link element that contains the text hello world, the page navigates to a section element with the ID. They all do that. Yep, they all do that. Oh, types of databases, doesn't it? Types of databases. Is it now because it's so funny when you add those, yeah, because that wasn't a part of the ID. So actually we cannot include that. Now they actually work again. Yeah, that's funny. So yeah, what we're going to do, I'm just going to run these tests again and make sure. All right, yeah. All right, so what we're gonna do? Thank you so much, Leonard, for working with me there as well. I was like, are they being picky about the question mark? But no, the question mark is not in the ID. So, uh, before we get off, y'all, I just want to see if I can knock these two at the same time. We're gonna add these two here, add the quotation marks here, and we're gonna add them to the IDs and see if that is what they were looking for, because that would be hilarious. And if not, then it's okay. We're just gonna I'm gonna take a look at this after class, and I'm gonna dig into why it's giving us a X. But if that is, I'm gonna be mad. All right, let's run it. No, okay. That's okay. That's okay. So that wasn't it, but I'm gonna look into this after class and see what the error is, and I'm gonna tell y'all next class what is up. But thank y'all so much for joining me. Thank you for staying 6 minutes after as well. Like, I so appreciate y'all. We're building out this technical documentation. What we're gonna do tomorrow is get those last two check marks that we need, and we're going to then put this on to VS Code so that it's an actual project, right? We're going to push it up to GitHub and Netlify. And yes, I'm so appreciative of y'all staying a little bit late. This was a lot of fun. We're learning a lot as well, and I will see y'all soon. See you tomorrow. We're going to get into some more stuff and going to have a blast. So have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, later, everyone. Remember to follow me on socials if you're interested, Nyah Macklin Dev, and then also sign up for the Couchbase Discord as well. All the love, everybody. See you tomorrow. Debugging is fun. It is. Thank you. See y'all soon. Bye.